Hey everybody, please subscribe to my channel if you can. In this video what we're going to do is we're going to create some accounts and the account structure for further building out of the AWS organization. So what we're going to do is we're going to log in here, and you can see we go to AWS. So this is through the single sign-on through Azure AD. I'm going to click that, Chris Org account, and I'm going to go into the management console. Alright, so now that we're in the management console, what we're going to do is we're going to go to Control Tower. We've got 4 accounts, 2 organizational units. So let's see, how do we create? So what we want to do, I deleted this account. I created this account as a test, deleted it. So let's create a resource, create an organizational unit. Okay, so we'll call this, and I'm just going to call this Chris Org. The parent OU is just going to be the root. And this is where we'll build out all of our systems. So there we go. We got the Chris Org registering right now. And what we'll do once this is done, we're going to create an account in the Chris Org. We should probably, let's see if this is done. This should be done soon. And it is done. No, it's registering still. Okay, so this takes a little bit of time to register. Oh. Registering organizational unit, Chris Org, is going to take 57 minutes. Alright, so, wow. That does take quite a bit of time. I'm not sure why that takes so long, but alright. I wonder if I can create the other ones while we wait. No, I cannot create another organizational unit. What I want to do is basically create Chris Org, and then underneath there dev and prod. Now you might have dev stage prod. We might do that if each one, okay, there, it's dropped down to 18 minutes, so it's a little bit better. It didn't really take, I don't think it's going to take that long. I don't know why it would take that long. So I'm going to pause the recording while we wait for that to complete. Okay, so Chris Org is completed. So let's create another organizational unit. This one will be under Chris Org, and we'll name it Dev. And I'm going to again pause while we wait for this to complete. It took maybe about 10 minutes last time. Okay, that one took about 3 or 4 minutes, not very long at all. Okay, so now we have Chris Org, we have a dev account under that, or a dev OU rather, under that. And let's create another organizational unit, and this we'll call PROD. And we're going to put it under Chris Org, and we'll add that. Okay, so now we have the organization created, the OUs, Chris Org, Dev, Prod, and we'll just use those. So now let's go in here. So we're in AWS Control Tower, and you can go to the account factory. And what we'll do is we will create we'll just create an account here. So let's go in. So again, you're going to need to use a email, and we'll use the plus, and we'll use the plus, and we'll call this dev 001. And the display name will be dev01. That's what this account will be called. We should not designate an IAM user, identity center user. So it wants us to pick someone. So I'll just use that one. I think that should work. And I'll just put that in. And we're going to pick our organizational unit. So this is dev. We'll go dev. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to create that account. You can create 5 accounts at a time with Account Factory. So it is now going to create that. And let's see if we can create another account right now. Let's try to do this. So we'll call this one PROD01 at gmail.com. PROD01. Okay, organizational unit, prod. So once we have our 2 accounts done, so it says we can go into AWS Service Catalog to see more. Let's take a look and see what we can find out there. So there's dev01, provisioned. It's under change right now, so it's still being provisioned. So you can see right here, Control Tower Account Factory is creating these accounts. And there's the username right there. So that's interesting. Let's see how that works with my apps and if it presents me then with access to those automatically. Since I used that test user, I don't know if that's going to happen. But what we'll do is we're going to configure the permissions in once it's created. We'll configure the permissions in Identity Manager, IAM Identity Services. We'll go into there and make sure that we're configured. But that's okay. So that's provisioning right now. We'll let that run, let that complete, and then I'll pause the recording while that happens, and we'll come back and finish up. Okay, so now we have the accounts created. Let's take a look. If we go into AWS accounts over here under Chris Orb, you can see we have the dev account right there and the prod account. All right, so what we want to do at this point is let's go back. Let's go to single sign-on. And what we'll do is we'll go to show all. We'll go to Azure AD. And we're going to create a group in here. So new group, and we'll call this, it's going to be a security group, AWS Dev 01 admin. And all we're going to do is create admin groups here. We're not going to create any other types of groups, and that's fine for this example. In production, you'd want to create more groups based on maybe a developers group, something like that. So I'm going to call this one AWS underscore PROD 01 admins, and create that. So, okay, we created those two accounts. Let's refresh this. We should see them here. And there we see the dev admin. Let's go into that one right now. We'll assign some members, or a member at least. Add member, and we're just going to add myself. And I forgot to save it. Let's go back in. Hit select. And that looks good. Let's go back to all groups. Uncheck that. And let's refresh this. We should see the other group now. PROD, there it is. So similar thing, we're just going to go into members. We're just going to add one member, which is going to be me. And select. There, I did add it. Maybe I added it before, not even sure. Let's go back to members. Let's go back to all groups. Let's just take a look at dev. One user. Yeah, looks good. Okay. So then we want to go back over to AWS, which is here. And we want to go to the SSO Identity Center. Let's do that. And what we're going to do is go to AWS accounts. And I'm going to go into Chris Org, and I'm going to pick dev. I'm going to pick the dev account and assign users or groups. And what I'm going to do is okay, so that is the issue here, right? We don't see that group yet. We don't see those new groups because okay, that, yeah. So if we go back to applications, enterprise apps, here's where we can just run a quick provision. We want to go into this one, the successor right here, go into provisioning. Oh, we didn't even add. Okay, so I forgot to add that group. Okay, hold on. So let me go back to this application. What we want to do, this application, we want to go to users and groups. We didn't assign the new groups. We created them, we didn't assign them. So let's assign them. And it should be this one and this one. Select. Two groups have been selected. And assign. Okay, so now if we go back, and this is going to take some time, I believe, but let's just see. See, they're not there. We don't see them. So if we go back to Identity Center and go to provisioning, now I think we can force a quick provision. If we restart provisioning, yeah, let's try that. It should give us an update here. But now if I go back over here to Identity Center and do a refresh, we still don't see it. Okay, it hasn't finished. Let's see what it's doing. Technical information, no. Let's see. Okay, don't have to provision on demand. Let's go back. See if we can force it to provision. So far it just shows that. It's not showing anything else. So I think we might have to wait for this to provision. Should be able to stop it and start it to get it to provision over there. Stop. Okay. And then start. Let's see if this does it. Scheduled to start. Let's refresh. So I don't see that that's updating the group number. Not yet. Let's go over here. It still says 1. And I still don't see it over here. So we're going to have to wait for that group to get over here. That is okay. So let me pause while we wait for that group to show up. Okay, so I ran provision on demand. That seemed to work. Now when I went back over to Identity Center, did a refresh, there they were. So let's start here. I think we were on a dev account. And we're going to give this administrator access. Next. Submit that. Wait for it. And then we'll go back to Chris org. PROD. Click PROD. And assign users or groups. And the PROD group. Next. We're going to give it administrative access. So you can see they create a few permission sets automatically. Read only, power user, service catalog, end user access, things like that. Okay, submit that. Alright, so now if we go back to my apps, and well, I think if I go back here, if I refresh this, there, now I can see 3 accounts, and this is how it will appear. So you'll see all 3 accounts if you're assigned to them, but you can assign a user. You probably would not, in fact, you would not assign a user to the organizational root account. That should be left empty. Keep that empty. Don't really assign any users to it. But here's dev, and if we can go right into there, let's take a look. This is the dev account. There should be really nothing in here. And if we look at, let's look at the VPCs. There is just one. And it is the, you can see it says no to default VPC, because this was created by AWS Control Tower. So that's an interesting thing. So AWS Control Tower doesn't have a default VPC here. When you create that account, you tell it what you want to create. So it creates that. What we're going to do is we're going to go into some Terraform, creating VPCs into these accounts, and we'll mostly work with the dev account, but that is all for creating accounts using Account Factory in AWS Control Tower. So thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Please subscribe. Thanks.